Hey everybody, it's Just My Opinion Bob, and it's January 5th, 2025. Welcome. The title of this video today, it's not going to be a very long one, and I don't want to bore you, but it's what I learned from JP Cormier. And I've learned a lot, and unless you've been living under a rock, most of you probably already know about him. But he's got a huge following. He's got a lot of videos, and he is just full of knowledge. And I'm sure most of you have listened to him and seen him. I was only exposed to him maybe about a year and a half ago, so it was new to me. Maybe it might be new to some of you, but I beg you to check him out. You go to YouTube and just hit the search, and it's JP space Cormier, Cormier. That's Cormier, and it's pronounced Cormier. And he's a character. And we're both kind of doing the same thing. Just trying to get our opinion out and some information that might be helpful to you and show you some different guitars and such. The difference is this, and I'm not just blowing air up his skirt. The difference is this. JP is filet mignon, and I'm kind of hamburger or sloppy Joe. Hey, but who doesn't enjoy a good hamburger or sloppy Joe now and then, especially with tater tots? Anyhow, we're at two different extremes. JP is an extremely talented musician. He looks like an octopus when he's playing. All you see is his hands and picking and thing. Extraordinary. He's a professional musician. He's been playing for years. He knows the business of music, and he knows about guitars. He knows what it takes to make a good guitar. He knows what a good sounding guitar is and what a pretty good one is. He will run the full gauntlet of instruments, ranging from guitars on Amazon all the way up to his sad story about his D45 and everything in between. He doesn't just cherry pick stuff. He's reviewed hundreds of guitars, and there's probably hundreds he hasn't. But you definitely should check him out. I've learned so much from him. That's all I can say. And on that note about the business of music, somebody was trying to tell me the difference between a professional musician, let's say Bruce Springsteen, and Bob Freitag. What's the difference? They were saying how much more talented maybe he is. Well, I don't know how much all of you know about the business of music, and I'm sure other musicians will back me up on this. Maybe not. It doesn't matter how talented you are. There's talented people. There's millions of talented people out there, and there's people that, wow, they couldn't carry a song in a lunch bag. I mean, they're pathetic. But it's not about talent. It's the business of music. It's being in the right place at the right time and knowing the right people when a particular door opens up. That is the secret. I'm sorry. And you can disagree with me. You're entitled to your opinion just like I am. But that is the business part of music. Talent and expression and theory and learning and all that, that's what groups of musicians do and play together. But when you want to be in the business of it, you're selling your soul some of the times, or you're under contract. It's a business, and there's people that are running it, and there's musicians now that are making it big. That it's like, well, geez, I can play better than that, But the door open for them. They have the right people, and that's just how it works. And that's called the business of music. There's a lot of books on it, and it's pretty interesting. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But anyways, like I said, me and JP have two different lives. I was in a steel mill for 37 years. I'm a master machinist, CNC operator, CNC, so that's why I relate to a lot of modern guitar building and know what's going on. JP was a professional musician all of his life, and that's just fantastic, All I could do is fantasize about being a musician like that and making that my life. Where probably JP fantasizes if he was working in the steel. No, I don't think he doesn't fantasize about working in the steel mill. But anyways, check him out. He's just great. And I've learned so many things about him. The only thing he hasn't touched on, and I'm curious about it, is he hasn't mentioned anything about food. And if you see JP, you'll see he's eating pretty good. And I am more Italian than I am German. My last name is Freitag, but I'm more Italian on my mother's side than I am German. So when I wake up in the morning and have my coffee and I'm dunking my burnt toast in the coffee and eating it, the first thing I'm thinking of is what am I going to have for lunch in the afternoon? So, everybody has their dreams if they could meet somebody. JP's up in Canada. I'm down in South Carolina. We'll probably never meet. But if we could, I'd like to get together with him. I don't want to talk about music. I don't want to talk about guitars. I want to go out to lunch. We have a place down here called Dagwood's, and they have the Bumpstead sandwiches and stuff like that. You can imagine what that place is like, or the Grumpy Mustache. But that's what I'd like to do. But anyways, let me get back to this. Even though we have different lifestyles and we have opinions on YouTube, that's all they are. It's like having a wine critic or a movie critic. You can listen to a movie critic and they're going on about how great this film was or that, and you watch it and you say, what the heck is he talking about? That ain't nothing. And yet you find another critic that, you run right along, and that's what you do on YouTube. You find people that you can relate to, and they share the same thing, the same opinion maybe that you do, or expose you to something or tell you something, and you learn something from them. I've learned a lot from you people from comments and stuff, so that's very rewarding. But I knew the first video I saw with JP that I was a fan, because I had bought an Alvarez. I bought an Alvarez MD60. And when I played this, because I've played my buddy's Martins, I've played my brother-in-law's Martin. I got my own sad story about my grandfather's Martin in 1936, but we'll save that for another time. I just knew this was what I wanted. This is what I want, and it had the sound in it, and it sounded to me as good. Actually, I thought it sounded a little bit better than the Martin I was playing, and it was a D18 I was playing at the time. But that's just an opinion. But JP did a blind A/B test, and he had a Martin and he had the Alvarez. And he didn't say which was which. He just played them, and you had to identify it, and blah, blah, blah. And he went on. And he did the same thing with a Recording King and a Martin. Did the same thing. A/B, blind test. Nobody knew. You'd have to pick it out. You'd have to send in your vote. He did this with a little over 100 people on his tests. And the results came back where 51% could identify the right guitar, 49% thought that this was another one, and then 50% thought this, and that's where the percentage was. It was all going 51, 50, 49, I think 48 somewhere. That was it. And to JP, it was like, well, that's pretty interesting, because being that balanced, the cost difference between the two was not that balanced. And the way I took it and the way I learned math, if you have 100 people, that's like 100 flips of a coin, heads or tails. And 100 flips of a coin, heads or tails, is always going to be 49, 50, or 51% heads. That's just the way it is. And that's just chance. That's chance. So to me, it was nobody really could identify. It wasn't a 95 to 5%. It was that balance. So when it's that balanced, then you have to look at the price. If the one guitar is $1,000 and the other guitar is $4,000, is it worth, all that extra money? To some people it might. And let me make this point. If your grandfather played a Martin and your father played a Martin, and that's what you want in the family, you get a Martin. And then you'll be as happy as your grandfather and your father and carry on that tradition. That's the guitar for you, and nobody should tell you differently. Stick with it. Martin is an institution. It is an institution. They make great guitars, always have made great guitars. Their downfall is maybe they fell asleep a little bit too much, Aside from when they let the fox into the chicken coop, when they let all the Japanese in with their cameras and took all the pictures, that's how Sigma got started. They're great guitars. In the last few years, though, I've seen a lot of them go back for bridge work, binding work. I don't know what's happening. Are craftsmen leaving and they get newer people and maybe they're not trained as well? I don't know. I don't know the details. All I know is those guitars are going back. My buddy got a D41 in D41 or a D42. He had to send it back. Binding coming off, bridge lifting up, brand new. So who knows? But again, if it's a flip of a coin, same thing. I don't have my Recording King to show you, but when I bought my Recording King, I said, boy, this is just like the Martin. So when I saw JP's reviews, I said, well, you know, he was in agreement with that. So I could relate to him. And that's what you have to find. Is, like I said, just like any critic, you find somebody that you can kind of relate to. But I don't know. Then an item like this is a Fender. And I've mentioned in my earlier videos, I never played a good Fender acoustic. They're okay. It's an okay guitar, but I've never played a good one. And JP and some people that left comments also told me to check out the Fender Paramount series. And that's what this is. It's a Fender Paramount. This is the PM1 Dreadnought. It's acoustic electric. And it's made in China. And it's a fabulous guitar. But I wouldn't have known about it unless I heard JP do it. When I saw him do it, because you have to see how he does it in his information. It's spellbinding almost. So it's pretty entertaining. He's a great guy. I hope he doesn't mind me using his name when I do this. So I'll check with him first. But that's what I wanted to say. As far as the Martin goes, you know, we had a Martin in our family. We had a 1936 Martin. It was my grandfather's, and I was young, and my cousin was I was 10, and my cousin was 13. My cousin decided he wanted to try guitar and play guitar. So my grandmother had my grandfather's Martin. My grandfather had passed away. He had the Martin. And she says, well, you take it and you try it and see if you like guitar. And if you do, you know, then you get your own. Bring this back. But this way you can try it. So he said, okay, great. Thanks, Aunt Mary. So he took the guitar and he tried it. And I don't know, some time went by and he was telling us he tried guitar, but it really didn't appeal to him. He liked bass better. So he went to the music store, and the music store saw his Martin that he brought in of my grandfather's and offered him a brand new Rickenbacker bass with no money in exchange. So my cousin went for it, and he was thrilled that he got a brand new bass and only had to give him that old Martin guitar. I don't know if any of you know who Foghorn Leghorn is from the cartoons, but if Foghorn Leghorn heard that story, you know what he would say? Sharp boy, but about as sharp as a bowling ball. Yeah, that was a real letdown, but what are you going to do? I got my grandfather's 1925 banjo, Gibson. It's 100 years old this year, 1925. So that's my sad story of a Martin. The other thing I want to talk about is I was a CNC operator, and you know, a lot of these Chinese guitars coming out, there's people say it's junk, it's garbage. Some of them are. Some of them are terrible. But some of them are pretty good. And you know what? If you want to get an all solid body, all solid wood guitar from China, you're going to pay a pretty good chunk of change. I mean, a pretty good chunk of change. You'll pay $700, you'll pay $800, $900. It's be a nice guitar and it's all solid wood, but there's nobody backing it up or anything else. I mean, you take something like this Fender. This Fender's all solid wood. It's a gorgeous guitar, beautiful. It's one of my best guitars. You can get something like this at Guitar Center right now. They're selling these things for $567 with the hard shell case. They're on back order, but they're selling them for that price. Unbelievable. All solid wood. It's also made in China, but you've got Fender backing that up. You've got the warranty, the whole thing. In China, you got what do you got back on it? You got nothing. You may have to get your father to help you back you up because they're not going to help you. And JP Cormier, which I can't do, he'll show you brands that'll just knock your socks off. His latest one is The Bear by Alvarez. These are people now that are, and I'm going to talk about this in my next video. I'm going to talk about OEM manufacturing and how these little people in China are working and how they can do this. But there's some people right here in North America that are using factories to have their guitars built. You just put in an order, get built what you want. But he'll mention names that I can't touch. We're not in the same league in that respect, you know. The Boucher, the Canard. There's a new one out in China. These guys, I can only spell the name because I can't say it very well. I know you don't pronounce the H, but it's Cinema. It's Hsienmo. Oh, check them out. They are beautiful, beautiful works. They just look gorgeous. And they're affordable. They are affordable. There's an American company, I believe there's an American company, it's Cirrus, Cirrus, making beautiful, beautiful, all solid wood guitars. This is a builder that might make 150 guitars in his lifetime, custom, you know, high-end stuff. But he's getting out these other things that are very, very good for a very good price. I mean, we're talking under $2,500 for this kind of stuff. Yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to mention. So he's got a lot of good things he can open up your ears to and eyes, and many of you probably have deeper pockets than I do, but it's well worth checking him out. I think you'll be impressed. So I think that's all I wanted to say. I'm going in for the poison in a couple of days, so I'll be back after the side effects wear off and come back with another video on the OEM manufacturing and Chinese guitars. See you later.